Welcome to This Week in Final Fantasy XIV, your dose of news, updates, and cool or interesting things that happened in the community over the past week. Because this is the first episode, I'm going to give you a little bit of a preface or explanation about what exactly this is. Usually I make one video a week, and I'm still going to do that, but for now we're going to try out posting a second and see how it goes for a little while before I commit to making this a permanent fixture or not. This Week in Final Fantasy XIV is a news show that covers more than just game updates and releases, though those are mentioned. It offers an insight into the community itself, what they're discussing at the moment, and the general sentiment as things stand right now. I'm not going to harp on for too long, so you can get in, get your news, get a laugh, and hopefully one or two interesting things, and get out. In this week, the unending coil of Bahamut has been completely broken, Yoshi-P has been chatting a lot, and we get both a new event and a few new Dawntrail tidbits, including cross-region travel. Our first news piece is big. An announcement on the Lodestone has provided news of an upcoming test period for cross-region data center travel. This is a feature that has been discussed in hushed whispers since the initial cross-data center travel was added, and it could be the first step in your Warrior of Light being able to travel to all regions freely to raid, visit friends, or attractions. The test begins on March 25th, and allows players from the European, North American and Japanese data centers to visit the Oceanian data center. Of note, the Oceanian data center is the only one currently open for visit in this test, meaning the players native to that region cannot go and visit, for example, the EU data center. Hopefully, if this goes well, because testing will be taking place until the maintenance for Dawntrail, in the coming years we'll see worldwide travel. I guess it's time for us all to hop in the Aussie Party Finder, huh? The next story comes from an interview from Famitsu with Yoshi-P and Shimoda Shota from WFS. I'm going to read a little excerpt of the interview here. Yoshida says, reflecting on FanFest, "So, from now on, we'll keep working to surprise players and go beyond what they imagine. But this reminds me of something I regret. As we've continued to operate FF14, we've made the game more comfortable, a game you can play without stress. But looking back on the last 10 years, I'm thinking we've overdone that a bit. A video game should of course have an element of stress, but how to handle that properly is extremely difficult. For example, in a side-scrolling game, if there aren't any holes you can drop down into if you miss a jump, of course the game would lose its stress, but it would also lose its fun. Speaking of FF14, I'd like to restore that part a little bit. If we do that, we can give everyone a better challenge in a good way than ever before." One thing I want to make clear from the get-go, this was a large-scale community discussion. Some people were cheering for this statement and potential change, some were claiming that this is incredibly unhealthy and bad. There's been a bit of mischaracterization or mistranslation in this statement though. An addendum was added by the FF14 Reddit translation channel amongst others, stating the following. Yoshi-P does say that he thinks they might have overdone trying to make the experience of FF14 stress-free, and that they want to carefully change that a bit going forward, as he believes a little bit of stress here and there is just part of playing games. But he specifically says that this does not mean they want to raise the difficulty. My interpretation of all this is that rather than referring to binary difficulty, it likely refers more to either failure for punishment or for effort required to complete certain things, and it will refer to content like Alliance raids, normal raids, or Relic quests. They might want to rekindle the spark of Stormblood Alliance raids, to have failed mechanics have a higher chance to cause players to fall, or to lock nice rewards behind longer term grinds once more. Xbox has posted a giveaway for a Final Fantasy XIV limited edition Xbox, which is very beautifully Aetheryte themed. Now for a couple of notes. This is limited to residents of the United States of America and Canada, so international hopefuls need not apply. One additional note is that this is actually non-functional and is to be used as an art piece. Regardless, it is cool as heck and I wish I could enter. If you're able to try and get your hands on it, there's a link to the tweet in the description. Vigils were held across Eorzea this week in memory, respect and appreciation for the life of Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball who sadly passed away. Rest in peace, and thank you for your life-changing work from the many millions you touched. The Moogle Treasure Trove event, the Hunt for Genesis 1, is over now as of March 11th, so if you're stupid like me, you forgot to finish your weeklies and now you almost have enough tomestones to get the thing you want, but not quite. There's a second part expected in the foreseeable future. The unending coil of Bahamut got truly bullied this week, having been defeated with Golden Bahamut having his Enrage buff active. Essentially, if you fail the Bahamut DPS check and then you make it all the way to final phase Golden Bahamut, the boss will spawn with a 5 times damage up. By all common trains of thought, this should be a wipe stage, and according to most guides and available information on the internet, it is. But a group has, with a bunch of theory crafting and over 12 hours of consistent attempts, managed to down him. The boss does so much damage that a crit auto attack on a tank can kill, even through full mitigation and shields. Monofar can only be survived with tank LB3 and multiple party mitigations, and all Akmorns must be invulned. This necessitates 4 tanks at minimum, and a 5th tank to have enough mitigation for all the autos. It's only possible to build LV3 for Monofars 1, 3 and 5, meaning that the targets for 2 and 4 had to be sacrificed. If their 1 DPS was chosen at random as the target for one of these, it would have caused a failed DPS check and a wipe because you lose the double damage buff. But that's not all, because just a few short days later the same group of individuals completed UCoB with only 1 Neuralink. Generally you get access to 3 Neuralinks in the encounter, and you need them to safely soak the orbs that spawn at various points in the fight, or to survive certain hits. With only 1 Neuralink, you need to come up with some very creative or difficult to execute solutions to the various problems. A couple of highlights include, in Twintania, it was important that they never once moved Twintania to guarantee the Neuralinks were all dropped directly on top of one another. In Felruin Trio, they sacrificed players to make it through the mechanic. In 10 Strike, I'm just going to let this play out and you can see for yourselves. In Ads, they drifted the hatches, allowing just enough time to resolve 3 of them, one after another. Another major topic of discussion in the FF14 community this week came from Japanese blog Umidori on Twitter, where they shared the following quote: "We are working on a system where you can skip up to 6.0 and see the story and settings in-game, and we are preparing for new players to start their adventure from 6.1. This sparked fierce debate, as story enjoyers were vehemently against this and many others believed it's a great idea. As a clarification, this is not a new statement, and I'm a little surprised it sparked such discussion because it was first mentioned over a year ago at this point. Honestly, I'm in favour of it. I'd be happy to see such an option implemented on the whole, and I know I'm not alone in that regard, but a recent PC Gamer article seems to have squashed the possibilities, at least for now. For the story, we are not currently planning any kind of new skip feature," Yoshida said. "This is something I'm constantly torn about, and we have already finished implementing a feature that allows players to learn about the story, setting, and characters, even when they skip the story. I'm concerned that if the globally acclaimed storyline can be skipped through a function, the value of the FF14 game itself will be diminished. So far, FF14 has been able to continue to grow while keeping the story as the main focus. As such, please let me think about it some more. Of course, I do understand where you're coming from, so no need to worry about that." FF14 is currently 60% off on Steam, including options for the Complete Edition, Endwalker, and Endwalker's Collector's Edition, and new items have been added to the MOG station in the form of old event items becoming purchasable, alongside a sale there too. The new Little Ladies' Day and Hatching Tide combined event begun this week, rewarding the Flower Crown Gobu mount. You can pick up the initial quest for the event at Old Gridania, so make sure to head over at your leisure and pick up your new sneezy friend. The event is planned to end on April Fool's Day. The Final Fantasy XIV official Twitter account posted new job illustrations for Viper and Pictomancer this week too, drawn by UCoB. People went wild for the booba belt that the Viper is sporting, and learned that for some reason, Pictomancer forgot they had a paintbrush. Why is she using her finger? Is she stupid? The art looks very nice though, and acts as a titillating tidbit for what's to come next. In a Play magazine interview, that is, in the physical copy of the magazine posted on Twitter in screenshots by user Strawberry Season, the Dawntrail Relic quest is referenced. In the interview, Yoshida states the following: "Naturally, I'm not able to give any concrete information for Relic weapon quests because it's still in the planning process. I do appreciate that some people do say that it's too easy in Endwalker, but on the other hand, generally players are playing many jobs on a single character. So although the weapon itself is easy to make, they can benefit from being able to enhance several different weapons for different jobs on the same character. But on the other hand, when we think about players who have been playing for a long time, I think a lot of them, what really sticks in their memory is the original Zodiac weapons and just how difficult it was to, for example, collect all of the materials and enhance those weapons. And so when we think about it that way, it's great for players to be able to reminisce on that kind of aspect. I want to reiterate that I'm not going to make it the exact same as it was before, but I do appreciate that it gives a sense of rewards to the players, and I would like to keep that in mind. We are currently proceeding with our planning for the new content, but I will also add that we will have various routes in place in terms of the methods to enhance the weapons. So that's everything in FF14 this week. Please let me know firstly if you want to see more summary videos like this released on a weekly basis. It's a little experimental, so it'll either stay or go based on feedback and interest. But honestly, it's a pretty fun wind down from larger investment videos for me, so I'm happy to make them if you want to watch them. Let me know in the comments if there's something I missed, something you want to say, or anything else, and you may be featured in a future episode. Have a fantastic rest of your week.